What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It has been a minute since my last video, but yeah, it's because there's nothing to talk about. I saw Thunder's video yesterday or 2 days ago, I guess, and he literally was talking about how there was nothing to talk about. This guy uploads like 4 times a month and he still can't find things to talk about. Like, that's just how dead the whole Call of Duty scene is. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, and maybe, I don't know if you're like a Discord friend of mine or something I haven't seen in a bit. I've moved on to Valorant, kind of. Like, I'm not saying full time, of course, and obviously I'm not going to post Valorant or anything like that. I have tons of Call of Duty gameplay, like tons. I could literally last to the next Call of Duty without touching it again. That's how much gameplay I have. There's just no point in playing Call of Duty these days. There's just no point in touching it. I have Orion. I don't really care enough about ranked play to keep going. You know, like it was fun for a bit, but I can't see myself getting better because I don't have a controller. And for those of you who don't know, controller on Call of Duty right now is like ridiculously OP, like ridiculous. So like there's no point in like playing PC with keyboard and mouse up to a certain point, you know? Like, you know, I know you could say like, oh, but this guy's keyboard and mouse and he's like, you know, the top rank or something. Okay, like I'm not that guy, you know, I'm not that good, obviously. So I feel like I care enough about ranked play to keep grinding that. And that's kind of counterintuitive because I am doing Valorant ranked play, but at the same time, I have more people playing Valorant with me, and there's just more people to play with, you know? When it comes to Call of Duty these days, like if you're not playing ranked play, nobody's really playing anything. Nobody really wants to do Warzone. Nobody wants to do 6v6. Like the only thing people want to do is ranked play, and you know, if I don't want to do that, then there's not much for us to do together. So you might be asking, okay, what are you going to talk about then? You said there's nothing to talk about. You're not playing Call of Duty. What are you talking about? Well, I am going to talk about Call of Duty Cold War, Black Ops Cold War. I want to ask the question and just pose this in the comments for you guys. Were we too harsh on this game? Was this game that bad? I've seen a couple videos. I think Jev, maybe Dismo, some other dudes out there, you know, talking about, or like rather going back to Black Ops Cold War and just talking about their thoughts on it, right? Like, was this a good game? Was this not a good game? What were some of the like big pros and cons for it? Black Ops Cold War is actually, interestingly, one of the games that kind of not blew up my channel, but definitely helped me grow a lot. You know, there was a whole stretch from like December to like, you know, mid-February or so, where I uploaded pretty much every single day for Black Ops Cold War and grew a lot. You know, I probably gained maybe like 500 to 1,000 subscribers in that stretch. That was kind of insane, you know, and I have a lot of thanks for Black Ops Cold War, no matter how bad I thought it was. I think that the game inherently started off very, very rough. You know, terrible netcode, very few maps. The maps that we did get were weird. The movement was pretty weird, especially coming off of like Modern Warfare 2019. It just felt very clunky, you know? You can kind of see it around in this Nuketown gameplay where I'm sliding around, I'm jumping. It just feels like there's like extra weight to you for no reason. It feels like your slide is like cut short for no reason. You know, it's just a weird take on things. And I get that it's Treyarch versus Infinity Ward versus Sledgehammer, right? Like they all have their own different ways of wanting to handle and do certain stuff. But I think for me, the movement, it never really changed, and it just kind of stayed this janky clunkiness, you know, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just very jank, very clunky, and I just still can't really get on board with this. So that's my first thought here. The movement is kind of whatever. The guns are all right, you know, if I want to talk about the guns. The DLC in this game, like, because I'm talking about guns a little bit, DLC maps, DLC content was actually more underrated than expected. It was better than expected, especially seeing as how what we get with, you know, Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2022. Yeah, I mean, like we didn't know how good we had it with Cold War. It wasn't like a superb or amazing or anything, but it was definitely better than expected. I do want to give a side note here. This is an old gameplay. If you want to hop on Black Ops Cold War now, you will most likely be seeing level 400s to level 1000s. I don't think any casual people are playing Black Ops Cold War now, because it's now a 2-year game, you know, because Vanguard was last year. So, you know, if you're still playing Black Ops Cold War, you're probably a really like decently hardcore fan of this game, or of the arcade shooter, maybe because you can actually move in this game versus, you know, Modern Warfare 1 or Modern Warfare 2019, or Modern Warfare 2022 rather. As far as the kill streaks go, I thought it was interesting how they actually added kill streaks throughout the DLC system, throughout the DLC, you know, battle pass and stuff like that. Like you could actually earn like a VSAT and stuff like that for things that weren't available at launch, or weren't available, you know, right from the jump. You could actually implement in. It's not like Modern Warfare 2022 where they're missing like 4 streaks, they're missing like 3 streaks, and they're just never coming. Apparently, maybe they were supposed to come in that DLC pack that's now going to be Vanguard 2 or Modern Warfare 3, whatever Sledgehammer's cooking up. It's not like it's going to be like that. It's just they actually had stuff from the jump, or from DLC rather. When it comes to Black Ops Cold War, however, the biggest gripe I can give you guys, and I can remind you guys, is the SBMMM. Okay, this game was pretty strict with it. I'm not gonna lie, especially for a Treyarch title. Coming off of like Black Ops 4, there was domination. There was like the mercenary mosh pit. There was like hard point. It's like certain modes were like definitely more sweaty than others. But when it came to matchmaking, like you could go off if you were a good player, like more times than not. Like it wasn't like 50-50. It was more like 90% of the time. If you're a good player, you got rewarded for it. You could drop your VSAT, you could drop your gunship, in 9 out of every 10 games. Maybe 1 out of every 10 games, you come across like a complete sweat, something's like, I don't know, an optic scump or something like that. Maybe you come across something like that. But if you were like an above average player, you got rewarded for it. And I think when we got to Black Ops Cold War, and especially Modern Warfare 2019, we started to feel like, hey, you know what? I've been playing this game for a long time, and it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like I'm getting rewarded. It doesn't feel like I'm, doing as good as I can be right now. And that's just a sad feeling, right? That's just a bad feeling when you've been playing this franchise, playing this game for a long time, and you have nothing to show for it. You have no positive news for it. You have nothing to, really go off of there. So that's what I just had to bring it up. I just had to bring up that skill-based matchmaking in Black Ops Cold War was a huge issue. And if you don't believe me, go play it right now. Go play it right now and come back and tell me that it's not an issue. I touched on it a bit, but let's talk about it a little bit more. The maps, overall, the maps in this game got better. Okay, they kind of sucked in the beginning. I remember like Moscow was like the only like kind of playable one besides like Nuketown and whatever they had like originally. There was that other small snow map. I'm kind of blanking on the name right now. Crossroads, I think it was Crossroads Strike. But when they started doing like the strike maps, like Miami Strike and Crossroads Strike, they added like Face Off into 6v6. That was genius. I really think Modern Warfare 2022 should have done that. I guess from the jump. I think that's why everyone loves 10v10 in that game, because those maps are made for 10v10. They're not made for 6v6. They're not made for everyone to sit around in corners and like what everyone's doing. Now, when it comes to Face Off, I think that Face Off did a really good thing in terms of like the games weren't super short, weren't super long. And then it was always fast-paced action, so you weren't bored of grinding Nuketown or Shipment or Shoot House, kind of like what we are stuck with in these games now. You actually had a chance to play on other maps that were small and that you could get your camos done on. Speaking of camos, the camo grind in this game was pretty much next to nothing. It was pretty simple, I think it was I'd say the fastest one since Black Ops 4, maybe easier than Black Ops 4, I'm not sure. Probably around the same. I think this weapon, I think this game had more weapons than Black Ops 4, so that's probably why it's maybe slightly longer. But yeah, the camo grind in this game was fine. I think that's fine. I don't want to spend all year grinding camos and then play with it for like 3 months. I want to actually enjoy it. At the same time, I understand why people would want, a longer grind if they were given one. Now, when it comes to overall, like just this verdict, like my verdict of this game, like, is this a fun game? Would I recommend this game? Like at this point now, no, especially because like no one's playing it. But was it as bad as we remember? I think it was. I think a lot of people try to look back with nostalgia and things like that. Like, oh, like looking at it now, you can actually run and gun in this game versus Modern Warfare 2022. You can't, all that stuff. And I think also what helps this game is that it's actually finished now, with the terms of like, it has all the guns, it has all the maps it's going to have. And I think it even got maps after it launched, I think in Vanguard, it got like a map or two. So that's kind of interesting. I think that now it has full content, full DLC stuff. It's definitely a different game. It's definitely a different title. And obviously it's way better. But at the same time, I don't think we were too harsh on this game. I think that this game is still incredibly mid. It doesn't matter how bad Vanguard or Modern Warfare 2022 are. It doesn't change the fact that this game was mid. Okay, this is still the worst Black Ops game. This is still the worst Treyarch's game. And there's not much that can be said about it. Like, yeah, it was rushed in a pandemic and all that stuff. It obviously was definitely hard to make, but I don't know, man. Modern Warfare 2022 wasn't made in a pandemic, and I mean, look at how that turned out. So let's just calm it before we come up with all these excuses. But yeah, man, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Overall, if you want me to rate this game, like as it is right now, I think Black Ops Cold War is probably like a 5.5 to a 6 out of 10. Like it's painfully average. It's not bad, okay? There are far worse Call of Duty games out there, but it is nowhere near like, oh, we should go back and play this game right now. No, okay, no. The movement, the SPMM, the maps, the lack of variety, yeah, it'll catch up to you pretty quick. Maybe you miss like the days of Cold War, but you don't miss this game. I'm telling you. But yeah, man, that's it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and subscribe if you did. And thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. And if I don't know why not. You tell me. All right, thanks for watching. Peace, and peace.